I would spend my day trying to write what became life's golden ticket. But here's the thing. I was dealing with crushing stress and worry because the bills were mounting up. Here I am living with the girl. She is paying for the rent, all of my food. She's maybe the only person who believes in me. I'd sit there with the laptop open, looking at the blank screen, feeling like a fake. She's like, how'd it go? How many pages? Did you get it done? And I was like, I don't know that people knew how hard that struggle was at that moment. And today I'm holding up life's golden ticket. What became my breakout book and experience. And I'm going to show you like 4 versions real fast. This one you've never seen before. This is a cover I'm holding up. I know you've never seen this before because I made this cover in PowerPoint. Like, I made this. I self-published this book, Life's Golden Ticket, before I ever get a publisher for it. And most people don't know this story, so I'll tell you it. Then I got a publisher, and look what they did. They made this amazing box. I'll tell you about this pre-release box as well. If you can't see, it has a gold foiled ticket on it. It says Life's Golden Ticket. And then, of course, it came out in like hardcover. Looks a little different, doesn't it? And then it came out in paperback. And the paperback was years later with my full vision delivered. Because in the back of the book, there's an envelope with the actual Life's Golden Ticket in it. So how to go from self-published idea to the final dream was years in the making. And I'd like to start with that story today here in Progress Mode. I decided to go full-time as a writer and a speaker. You know, I'd already gone through grad school. I had already, written something that became the Student Leadership Guide, became a book. I was speaking to college campuses. I'd already led well. I'd already done a lot of research. I already had skill. I'd already spent, now at that point, 5-6 years as a consultant for a big company. And so I had a lot of, experience at that point, you could say, and a lot of achievements, and I was doing okay. But I decided to leave and write Life's Golden Ticket. That was the book. I wanted to leave my corporate job to write Life's Golden Ticket. That was the book I knew I was meant to write. While it later on went on to become something significant, it began as a huge worry and crisis moment. I was not in progress mode. I was in crisis mode. And it's because I had quit my job to write this book. I moved in with my then girlfriend to write the book because I ran out of money. After I quit the job, several months go by, almost a year goes by. I'm not, quote unquote, making it. I'm not getting booked enough as a speaker. I'm not selling enough of my instructor guides. I'm learning online marketing. I'm learning to do video at the very beginning of online video. Facebook was just starting out, to give you an idea of the timing of this. It was like 2006 and 2007. So what happened for me was I went broke. I'm trying to write the book. I move in with my then girlfriend. We didn't think we were going to actually move in together until we got married. But I had no other choice. I was either going to move back to Montana, where I'm from, and live with my parents, or I was going to continue bouncing to friends' couches and living on their floors on air mattresses, or move in. So I decided, and my girlfriend decided, I moved in with her. I moved in with pretty much nothing, like 6 pairs of jeans, like 10 shirts, and maybe 14 boxes of books, because I've always been a dork. I've always been a reader. To all my readers out there, thank you. And to everyone who loves books as much as I do, you just never give those up. I would spend my day trying to write what became life's golden ticket. But here's the thing. I was dealing with crushing stress and worry because the bills were mounting up. Here I am living with the girl. She is paying for the rent, all of my food. She's maybe the only person who believes in me in the entire world outside of maybe my family. My family definitely believed in me. But even it was like, I don't know that people knew how hard that struggle was at that moment because, I had gone to school and done well. I had gotten a job and done well. I was out there speaking and already starting this entrepreneur thing. It looked like it was going well, but really the bills were just stacking up, and there were days stacking up where I did nothing. So there I am watching my girlfriend get up in the morning, very early in the morning. We'd go for a walk, and then she would commute more than an hour to go to work. And all I had to do was get out of bed and pull out the laptop and friggin' write something. But a lot of days I just couldn't. So I'd fool myself. I'm like, well, it's not going well. I'm not feeling it, right? The feeling of motivation isn't there. The energy of enthusiasm isn't there. The excitement isn't there. And so I would go search for it externally. I would leave the apartment. I would go to the fancy cafes in San Francisco, California, where the famous writers apparently went and wrote. And I would get the green tea. I would get the croissant. I would watch everybody on their laptops working remotely or writing. And I would try to inspire myself. But instead, I'd sit there with the laptop open, looking at the blank screen, feeling like a fake, feeling this is not going to work out. I see the other people writing, they'd be tapping. They're writing. And I'm sitting there staring into my bottom of my green tea going, oh God, I left a job to do this. At the time, I was trying to write Life School and take it as like a personal development psychology type of book. I was trying to tell the story of how I went from a depressed kid who had that car accident to later happy, leading on his campus, people asking me to write a book on leadership, writing a book on leadership, getting a big corporate job in leadership consulting, building leadership programs for multiple Fortune 500 companies. I was trying to be I went from the sad, depressed kid to a success. I was trying to write a book like that, not about me, but about the things I had learned in self-improvement and spirituality that helped me become more motivated and happy. But now I'm chasing a new dream and I'm not as motivated and as happy. I just thought, I got to get this thing done. I'd come home, my girlfriend would come home from her work at some point, and, she was just so motivated and so happy. And I was just struggling. She'd be like, how'd it go? How many pages? Did you get it done? And I was like, and I hadn't done much that day. So then I'd go in, I'd write in our little bedroom on a little fold-out table. And I'd, try to write till the end of the night. And she would come home, or she'd come into the bedroom and she'd kiss me goodnight and she'd go to bed. And, this goes on. I need to tell you, this is week after week after week after week. One day, I found out there was a writers group meeting in San Francisco. And I got so excited. And I said, I'm going to go to that weekend. I'm going to go to that writers group this weekend. And I'm going to learn from these guys, because it was being hosted by multiple New York Times bestselling authors. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can go learn from them. I can go talk with them. This is amazing. Hey guys, it's Brendon. I'm jumping in here real quick. First, I want to make sure you've gone to progressmode.com to join the newsletter, because I have a resource for you related to this episode. And I have an upcoming meetup with my private group, Ultra. If you've ever liked to be in a private group with me, where I help you get more progress towards your passion projects or to build your business or your brand in a bigger way, just go to progressmode.com, click on private group to apply to see if you can get into Ultra, and we can take it to the next level by getting in person and meeting up virtually once a month online as well. Just go to progressmode.com. During that week, I came up with this idea that, I'm not doing a good job trying to write this book as nonfiction, like my stories and just teaching you guys stuff. I was like, I actually want to just tell a story. I want to write it like a parable. I'd been so moved earlier in my life by a book called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I just was so enamored by that writing style. I thought maybe I just need to tell a story. So I started kind of playing around with the story idea. I went to the writer's workshop that weekend, and I brought a little book proposal about the idea of telling the story of a guy who gets his second chance. I go to the writer's workshop. I talked with multiple big authors there, and they all said, so kid, you've never written a fiction book. I said, no. You've never written a parable? I'm like, no. And you're like a consultant and you wrote this nonfiction thing, the Student Leadership Guide, and that started doing okay. Why do you think you can write fiction? And one of them says to me, listen to this line, kid, do not risk your life's message about second chances on your freshman effort at fiction. Just write nonfiction. It's easier. You'll find a publisher better. Just trust me. Don't try to do that. A lot of people try to write fiction. It's really hard. He handed me my folder back with my little proposal in it and my little cover letter. And I walked out of there like defeated. I remember feeling so sad and so embarrassed walking the streets of San Francisco in a suit that didn't quite fit, in shoes that didn't quite fit, heading home to an apartment that I couldn't even help contribute any money to. And of course I was thinking, I'm like, and I'm writing a book about second chances and succeeding. You know, I felt like I had that arc. I had my second chance from my car accident, and I had this arc, grad school, wrote a book, got a job, was speaking on the side. It felt like this, but then I left the job and I didn't know how to get more speeches. I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to be an entrepreneur. I went home and I decided they were right. Who am I to write fiction? So weeks go by where I am struggling each day to write anything that is nonfiction, meaning it's not a story. It's more like teaching points. Weeks. I'm trying to write teaching points. And it's awful. It's just not happening. So I keep going outside the apartment, trying to meet with people, going to writer conference over here. Nothing is coming together. The bills are really stacking up. And one night when my girlfriend comes in at the end of the night into the bedroom, and I got my little table, I've got on the bed all of those bills, all of my vision board, all of those notes from the conferences, all of those proposals, everything I've got going on. And it's just dire at that point. So that night, though, she comes home. We have a nice conversation at dinner. I go into the bedroom. I'm writing. She comes in. Actually, I should be honest. I'm pretending to write. She comes in, kisses me goodnight, goes to go to bed like normal, but I hadn't cleared off the bed yet. She crawls under the covers of the bed to go to sleep, and I'm pretending to type away so that she knows I'm working at it. And there's just this moment where I look over and I see the love of my life sleeping under my bills. And it just hit. None of us want our own inaction or inability to be the financial harm that hurts our family or somebody that we love. And I thought, I don't want to live like this. One of the biggest shifts I've seen in people's lives when they hit progress mode, there was a decision where they go, this is not the life. This is not how it's supposed to be. This is not how it's supposed to be. Me sitting here pretending to write something I don't even want to write because they told me I should write it this way. Going broke, watching my girlfriend sleep under my bills, heading into bankruptcy. This is not what I signed up for. This is not the dream. This is not how it's supposed to be. And at that turning point, you have two choices. You fall into the depths of despair, or you switch on progress mode and you say, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to change. I'm going to go in this direction. I'm going to go full-hearted. I'm going to shift it. I'm going to change. I'm going to make it happen because I'm not going to allow that to happen. Because sometimes we make change out of desperation, or we make change out of a higher demand, or we make change because we believe in something. We make change because we have to sometimes. And in those moments, I want you to choose have to. I want you to choose do the thing. Get over yourself. I felt terrible. But I also felt a little bit of edge and anger and angst about it. This is not, no, this is not how, write the book, Brendon. Fresh page, got rid of that other concept, write nonfiction because who are you to write a fiction book? I said, I'm going to write it in fiction. I'm going to turn around. And I started writing what I wanted to write. Life's Golden Ticket as a parable, a story of a man who goes on an adventure through his past to find what really happened to him and find what happened in his relationship, to see what happened in his life and why it turned out that way and to make a change. And I decided that's what I'm going to do. So I started writing. That night, I just fresh started writing with that invigoration to make sure I live what I promised myself to live and to tell that through the story of this character so he could go through that same big awareness journey. So he could accept himself and do what he wanted to do. So he could take accountability for his life. So he could take action. And I said, that's what it's going to be. And I just started writing. And I started writing. And I started writing. I started writing. I started writing. And I just like fired up, wrote through the night. Next day, wrote through the day, wrote through the night, wrote through the day, wrote through the night, wrote through the day, wrote through the night. 18 days later, stepped away from that little table, shocked by the ending of Life's Golden Ticket. For those who read it, I didn't know the book was going to end that way. I actually didn't know. I remember typing, faithfully watching it like a movie, because it's a story. I'm watching Life's Golden Ticket as I'm typing it in my mind, and something happens at the end. I didn't know that was the end of the book. It was just leading, and all of a sudden this character went here and there. Oh, wait, can that do that? Can this happen? Wait. And I stood up. I walked around the little desk and was like, can that even happen? Can that be the end of the book? I went outside for a long walk, and I had to think about the plot. I was like, can that even happen? Then of course, a little part of me thought, am I good enough a writer to make that happen? I don't know. But the book was done. And I had it. And I believed in it. And I thought, all right. You're going to do this thing.